Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
And I had a little bit of fun there.
I noticed.
Like, this looks like more like a real show now. We have graphics and all this.
I knew it. Give us enough time, we'd become legitimate. So
something did go wrong. I went to take a sip of water and
oh my gosh. And it's going to happen on the air, too, while we're live. That just figures.
The very first thing that happens.
I know. Hey, I thought it was just a really great way for us to begin with a tribute to Norm Mcdonald.
Yeah. I wanted to throw that on there because so many Norm Mcdonald things. I wish I could have gotten some clips together to play, but I didn't really have enough time to prepare for that. But I think one of my favorite things, I was a big fan of the My Name is Earl TV show.
Right.
And someone else pointed out, I think it might have been in our Facebook group, but they pointed out, which, by the way, we're going live right now on facebook.com/Between a Pot and a Hard Place, facebook.com/groups/Between a Pot and a Hard Place, and our YouTube channel. And I'm missing one little thing here. Where's it at? Boom, there we go.
All right.
But yeah, we're going live. Yeah, it's the new logo. We're on the right coasts now. So Corey, thanks for pointing that out. Plus, I like the artwork on this one. It's similar to the original one, but yet it seems more, I don't know. Maybe we're both happier because we're on the right coast. We're back home, and we're not living on the wrong side of the country.
It could be.
But yeah, Norm, he was on My Name is Earl. He played a character called Little Chubby, who was the son of Big Chubby, who was played by Burt Reynolds. And in the show, Burt Reynolds' character passes away, and then Little Chubby comes in to take over. What I didn't realize at the time, which I should have, and I knew about it, but I didn't connect the dots until someone shared a clip of Norm Macdonald playing Burt Reynolds back, and I want to say it was mid-90s maybe. And his character, his portrayal of Burt Reynolds on Saturday Night Live is exactly the same as his character on My Name is Earl, down to the chewing gum and everything. His little quirks, his little things that he did, and that was just Norm's impression of Burt Reynolds. And I thought it was really cool that they looked at that and thought, okay, wow, this is so good. This is going to be your character on My Name is Earl because you're playing Burt Reynolds' son.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite Burt Reynolds things. And, of course, the movie Dirty Work, which was one of not my favorite movies of all time, but it's one of those classic 90s comedies that came out of SNL, some of the last really good comedies. Now it's all college humor and romantic comedies, which okay, there's a place for all those. But the last good, clean comedies, I think the last huge one was Tommy Boy, Joe Dirt, those kinds of things. And Norm was a big part of that,
right?
And of course you can't think of Norm Macdonald and not think Saturday Night Live.
No, I mean I think that for me, the legacy of Norm Macdonald and Saturday Night Live, I think that really was. One of the great groups of the Saturday Night Live cast, right? He was a part where there was Chris Farley, what else? Adam Sandler,
David Spade, of course.
David Spade, absolutely. And so you could say that he did the Weekend Update. That was kind of his thing. So yeah, I just feel like it's amazing, and I had not realized that he had been battling cancer.
No, it was, I guess the world didn't know. I guess only those close to Norm had known about that. And for 9 years too. So almost a decade. And it's wow. And I wondered, why haven't we seen much of Norm Macdonald anymore? But he still did comedy. He still, had things. And that's amazing. And one of the clips I really wanted to find, but I couldn't even find it on YouTube, was I remember when the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire first was really popular. Then it went through different iterations with different hosts, and it became some kind of it might still be on, I don't know. But the original version with Regis Philbin, they had a celebrity edition, and it was, I want to say, back in maybe not 99, but 2000 at least. Back when the Drew Carey show was on, and all these different shows, and TV was really great. Not that it's not good now, but it was better back then. And Norm was on there. They had, the way the show worked was there would be 8 or 10 people alongside in the circle, waiting their turn to be in the hot seat. And then they would have to do a fastest finger. Whoever could get the question right fastest got to be in the show first or whatever. And it was all celebrities. I don't remember who they all were, but I know Norm was there, and Norm was the last one to get to go on. I think it ran for like a week, and he was the last celebrity. And they were like, okay, Norm, come on. He's like, actually, I want to do my own fastest finger question. And he was the only contestant left. He didn't need to compete to see who goes, but he like insisted on having his own question. And of course was like, I think the question was something like, how do you spell Norm? What's the first letter of Norm? ANBOCR. And he, of course he sat there like, oh my God, this is a tough one. I don't know. I think maybe, yeah. It was just hilarious.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of when I read the news the other day. I was like, oh, that time he was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That was hilarious. And that was just Norm. Like, and I was reading different reports and different things. And I guess some of his family or someone had made a statement saying that he didn't want the world to know about his cancer. And because he didn't want anyone to look at his comedy and look at it in a positive way because of the cancer. He wanted to be liked for being himself. He didn't want the sympathy. And I think that's an honorable way to go out in a respectful way. But at the same time, now everybody hears the news. They're like, oh my gosh, now I love Norm Macdonald. It's like some people sadly like someone just because they pass away. But I think with Norm, how can you not like him? It was great. I loved Norm Macdonald.
Well, I think this is just a fitting tribute to his memory. I think the legacy and the impact that he made upon comedy. So.
And of course, Corey has a comment here, and I like the way that theme popped up like that.
Right.
Norm was in so many shows and movies. I loved his talk show appearances almost more tn his movies. And that's a good point. He did so many talk shows and so many things like that even on the game shows, like I was mentioning, like all his appearances and things were better than I don't know what it is. I guess because you're getting them, and people like to see the people for who they are.
Yeah. And
not just being in character, which is what I like when we do interviews with people. We like to know, of course we'll talk about what they're known for, but we like to mostly get into who they are instead of just like, was it really fun to play Superman's son? Did you have a good time? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do you know who you are? Like, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And Corey is actually watching us live on YouTube. All right, YouTube is up, audio is good, and he's also watching on Facebook. So thanks, Corey, for watching us twice.
Yeah, and that it works.
Yeah, it works great. I'm glad. We're broadcasting on Facebook twice. We tried it last week on the group, and the group it was all right, but we couldn't comment and interact and stuff. And then so I was like, okay, and then we tried other things, and then now we're back to this, and I think it works out great because we have direct line to the Facebook group, a direct line to the Facebook page, and then the YouTube as well. And all of them, well, the image on my screen is not showing up for YouTube. But yeah, I think I have the YouTube image updated with the new logo. And we just got to get 1,000 followers or 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Tomorrow night.
I know. By tomorrow night.
Yeah.
No pressure. Well, you guys better go out and tell your friends to go and subscribe. I do feel like this kind of engagement, going live in all of these different platforms. I mean, I think that, people aren't going to be able to help but subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's more fun too, knowing that, there's multiple ways to watch, and it's less work to have to go in and let me upload this to YouTube. Let me do that. That's half the work gone. Of course, I still need to go in and add it to the playlist because I like to have, because when you record and either record or upload to YouTube categorizes things differently. Like there's live streams and then there's videos. So when you do a video, it automatically goes in as a video, and live streams are in a separate category. So I have to then go in and add that to the playlist to make sure everything's in order because I like that nice organized list of episodes.
Right.
And at some point I thought about, should I do seasons? Should I categorize it? Like it's the season finale. And then like 2 weeks later, season 2 starts or something.
Right.
I started doing that with the audio podcast originally. And then I think season 2 started after the 1 year anniversary special. I think it was. That was season 2. And then we kind of focused more on the video platform than the audio, which I'd still like to go back and put the audio versions on there because I think we're about maybe 20 episodes behind on that. But a lot of people have been responding to the video stuff, so I think that's a lot of fun. And then people, of course, want to hear it too, I think, without having to sit and watch, like, oh, look at my phone, like, oh, I'm driving, like, look at these guys, oh, tree, you know.
Well, I will say that I really enjoy putting it on my car radio and just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I've done that. I've actually, on my days off and stuff, I've sat and sometimes, not every day, but sometimes I'll sit and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Older episodes. I'm like, oh, let me see this. Oh, that's cool. Like I was watching a couple of weeks ago. It's hard to believe that we had Jordan Elsass on here almost a month ago.
I know. Crazy.
Time goes by so fast. But I was watching that back, and I was like, oh, man, this guy is so cool. He's so cool. And I also want to say, I want to say congratulations to Lee Newton tonight, because she just won a Josie Award for, I think it was
Album of the Year.
Yeah, best album, EP album of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I thought she was going to win all 8 awards because she was nominated for 8. She won the album of the year, and I wanted her to win all of them, but I guess my magic powers only work for one thing. So,
I mean, I think that number one, it's just an honor to be nominated, period.
Yeah.
And to get album of the year, that is just huge. So we are, Lee has always been a friend of our podcast, and we just celebrate just that honor for her. So awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get her on. We'll get her on again soon. Don't want to rush it. I know she's wanting to come back on. I know my mom was telling me the other day, she was like, I was talking to Lee on Facebook, because my mom loves Lee Newton now.
Oh,
after
cool.
The podcast, she's like, I love Lee Newton.
Yeah.
She loves her music. Like, of course, she loves the Strength of a Woman song, which is a great song. And so she was telling me that she was commenting on some of Lee Newton's stuff, and she was like, you need to get on Chris and Steven's podcast again really soon. And she was like, oh, I'm ready. So now we have something to talk about. So
right. So
I think that's the only one that my mom has watched, is when the Newton's on. But we'll see.
I think that it's the same thing for my parents, that they're more willing to watch the podcast when Lee Newton is on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my mom doesn't really care too much about hearing us talk about What If and Supergirl and Spider-Man and Batman and all this stuff. But she, at first I'm like, well, you could just watch just to see me. Jeez. But Corey actually made a good comment here on YouTube. He says that in California, there aren't many trees left, so it's pretty safe as far as watching the podcast while you drive.
Right.
We still don't want to recommend that.
No. Plenty of holes to drive into and mountains to drive off of. So
so you don't want to do that.
No, don't podcast and drive, people. Don't do it.
Yeah, and if you really have to hear it that desperately or watch it, just pull over and watch it and then drive.
And if you have a friend who says they're going to go and watch the podcast while they're driving, take their keys, put them in your living room, let them watch the podcast in your living room, and then give them back the keys so they can drive home.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to, or you could drive them.
You could drive them. Yeah.
Give them an Uber if they just really need to watch it.
Right.
And then take their car back to them and have them bring you back home after the podcast, and then they can drive home.
Or, you could be a great friend and hold the phone for them while they drive.
Hold it up.
I mean, there's so many options, but just don't let people watch our podcast and drive. Right. This is a public service announcement.
And the people are commenting. JD says, friends don't let friends pod and drive. They do not.
Exactly. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, I was gonna try to think of the catchy slogan, like click it or ticket, kind of like the seatbelt thing. But well, hey, we can call it the same thing. Click it or ticket, because you're clicking. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
I think we've beaten that one to death.
Yeah, don't do that
either. Yeah. So I guess yesterday was National Batman Day.
Yeah, and wow, I was gonna show my Lego Batman head that I spent like 4 hours last night, or was it the Friday night?
Right.
But it's like 6 feet away from me on a shelf, so I'll get to that in a minute, probably.
Okay. All right.
I do have the little Lego removal tool that came with it. And these are very helpful when you get those pieces stuck and you're like, oh man, I put the wrong piece on the wrong piece. You pop that thing on. That was my best friend when I was a kid. My best friend.
I never had one of those.
I had one when I was a kid, but I didn't really know how to use it very well. And it looks like the modern one has a little peg at the top of it for those like weird pieces that have like the little, it's like a little four-way, or you can't really tell on the camera, but it's like a little four-way piece for those like wheel pieces and holes and stuff.
Yeah.
That you can pop in and pull out. So that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. I mean, I literally grew up with Legos. It was like the toy we had growing up, and I've never seen one of those. So I don't know where I've been like sticking my head that I just totally missed that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they back in the day, like in the they didn't have those because it's just like you boom, because they didn't have these like crazy little pieces, like these are some extra pieces left over from the Batman set,
right?
Which it's not like one of those situations where you take the washing machine apart and there's extra pieces. They're actually meant to be extra, I guess, in case you lose one. But it's always the pieces you don't need that you have extras. Like I can understand, like this one piece here, like this curvy piece that goes on, like his head or something. And, well, the whole thing is his head, but yeah, there's little pieces, and then these super little tiny pieces, which I'm very thankful I didn't lose any of. I have it stuck on the end of this little tiny yellow stud piece. Like you lose one of those, it's
gone. It's gone. Did you just happen to pick up Batman, or did you know it was International Batman Day? And
yeah, that's interesting because I really didn't know that it was Batman Day, and I'd been wanting this Batman for a while. I really wanted the Venom. There's a Venom version of the same thing, and it's
Venom looks
really
sick.
awesome.
It looks so sick.
I wish I had the image that I could show people here. I could possibly find it, but it's basically let's try to find it really quick. It's basically this giant, well, it's about 8 inches tall, and they take a while to complete. I thought I'll get this done in like an hour, and there's 3 bags. It's 410 pieces.
Wow.
For this Venom, well, for the Batman. The Venom might be more. I don't really know. I'm trying to pull up the picture here. I've got a page loading. It's the Venom. It's actually the order page for Lego's website. So we'll see if we can share that screen here. I haven't done that in a while. So let's see. I should have been more prepared. We're our fancy new look for the show. But here we go. If that's streaming, yeah.
That
you can
cool.
See it's, I don't know how many pieces this is. This is the Lego page. We can scroll through. They're $59.99, which you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And it is, but Legos have always been pretty expensive as far as sets. But this thing looks so cool. And I know we're talking about Batman Day, but oh, come on, page. There we go. I mean, that tongue, like that alone is a pretty cool little Lego piece.
Yeah.
And the pieces for Venom are 565 pieces. So that's pretty crazy. Where'd we go?
I mean, it doesn't even look like Legos.
It really doesn't.
It looks like a model. That's how awesome it looks.
I have to grab the Batman. I don't know why I didn't grab that. Take 1 second.
All right. So while Steven's away, I know that one of the things we had talked about in our group was about everybody's favorite version of Batman. And I really wanted to kind of bring that up about what version of Batman probably is the best, whether it's on screen, whether it's animated, whether it's the one that Steven is showing off in his hands right there.
I could just hold it like this the entire time.
You really could. So one of the hilarious things that happened this week, we were having a competition around the dining room table yesterday about who could say I am Batman the best.
Oh wow.
I never realized that my daughters could actually pull off a convincing I am Batman. So
I've never been able to do the voice that well. I mean, I could do well, I can't really do any version of it really, just I'm Batman. No, I'm doing that bad on purpose. But why is it that every Batman 410 pieces of Legos right here?
Right.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
I love his nose, but when you can kind of like, oh, I broke it.
No.
Well, he just had a nose job. Actually, it looks better now that it's not so long. But I'll reattach that later. But yeah, and his chin strap, I don't want to move it too much, but it can move. Because this actually, you had to assemble the rest of it, and then you had to assemble the chin piece. There we go. You had to assemble the chin piece and then pop it in. And oh gosh, the detail on this, it really doesn't look much like Legos. But I did not know it was Batman Day when I got this. I thought, I'll just get this because it's really cool.
Yeah.
And normally they're $69.99 or $59.99. This was on a clearance. It was like half off. So I was like, I'm gonna get this. I'm glad they didn't have the Venom and the Carnage. There's Venom, Carnage, Batman, and there might be more, but those three at least. If they would have had all of them, I probably would have bought all of them, which I would have spent hours. I would not have slept that night because I would have had to have built them all. But and I also have that action figure, but I'm not going to run around and try to find that right now. We've all seen it. I'm not going to do a puppet show.
Not here tonight. So I'm gonna bring that question up to you. What version of Batman is your favorite, or kind of who ranks among your favorites?
Before I answer that question, I don't know if she's still watching because my mom actually posted from YouTube. Hello, guys. So, hey, Mom. Glad you're watching. Even though she's probably like just logged in long enough to comment, and then she's like, "I'm gonna finish watching Big Brother," because she loves that show, the reality show Big Brother.
Right.
It's actually pretty good. I almost was a contestant on that. I tried to fill out the application, and I was like, I don't want to go to like California, and then or wherever it was being filmed. I was like, I don't want to deal with all that because I'd be kicked out the first day. But anyway, my favorite Batman, I really, really like Kevin Conroy's Batman from the video games. I know he did the animated shows and stuff, but the Batman Arkham video games are so amazing. You have Mark Hamill as Joker, you have Kevin Conroy as Batman, and then you actually have Red Hood as a character in Arkham Knight, which is a phenomenal video game. And it's almost the exact same storyline as we're seeing in Titans, except in Arkham Knight, he comes out as the Arkham Knight, is this character. And I believe the Arkham Knight as a character was created just for the video game, which is essentially like the transition between Robin and Red Hood. Because in this game story, you know, similar to the comics, everybody thinks Jason is dead and, he hates Batman. So he's all mad and everything. So he becomes the Arkham Knight, the new Batman. Because he's more like a robotic looking Batman with like a silver and blue. And he even has like a blue, I think it's a blue, maybe red bat emblem on his chest. And then later you find out, this is Red Hood because he takes off the helmet, and then the rest of his costume is basically the same, except he has the red mask. And then from then he becomes Red Hood. But that version, even though it's not live action, so if I have to pick a live action Batman, oh my gosh, I want to say Michael Keaton, not because he's the overall best, but because I think nostalgia, just like a lot of people when we've had the question of who's the best Spider-Man, so many people go Tobey Maguire just because it's, you know, the one they knew growing up and the biggest one that made the biggest impact first. And when you look at the Batman cover, the original movie, and it's got the goldish yellow Batman emblem on the black, and it just says Batman. It just really, and then you think of Jack Nicholson, the Joker, like that just makes you think. And then in the second movie, I believe he did the first two.
He did.
You had Penguin, and then Catwoman, and all that. It just when I think Batman, I think of those two movies. And then Batman 3, whatever that one was called, Batman Bat Nipples or whatever. Those movies, not so much, but they're still fun to watch. But still, I think George Clooney is. Adam West is a different. I don't really put Adam West in that category. That was more of a comedy. It's like, hey Batman. He is Batman. Robin, we have an answer for everything. Oh, holy jeez, you're right. Like, like they always had a solution for everything. It's like, oh no, he's gonna point a gun at my head. It's okay, Robin. I drank anti-getting shot in the face medicine. And so that was more of a goofy comedy. But
I think that, believe it or not, for me, I remember when I first discovered Adam West's Batman. And, I'm older than you are, but it was still, I caught it on reruns. And my brother and I happened to be over at a friend's house. And they were one of those families where they had their TV under lock and key.
oh
And
wow,
ironically, the one show their parents would let all of them watch was the Adam West Batman. And we had never watched it, or if we had watched it, we might have laughed at it and never taken it seriously. But we were staying with that family for 2 weeks for some reason, and I remember just falling in love with Adam West's Batman and watching all of the episodes. And yes, it was ridiculous. It was over the top. It was very exaggerated. The weapons aren't real. I mean, literally, you see them like flopping back and forth, clearly not made of metal. But there was something very, you're right, I think fun and maybe even innocent about it. But I really give a lot of respect to Adam West. I think he kind of built the character that we know. As far as favorites, I'm with you. Michael Keaton is the first real live action movie version of the character that I can ever remember. And I thought he really did a great job of being both Batman as well as Bruce Wayne. However, I think my personal favorite, gun to my forehead, I really feel like Christian Bale. I really like what he did with the character as far as with the Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and the Dark Knight Rises. I think that I really enjoyed that grittier, more realistic, darker take on the character.
I do too, honestly, because that's really what Batman became. And what he was all along, honestly, was this darker character. He's brooding like, I'm Batman. Oh, I'm mad at everyone. You better not mess with me. And so Adam West was like, hello, everyone. I'm ready to put you in jail. But yeah, I think Batman is supposed to be that darker kind of character. And Christian Bale probably, Ben Affleck did all right, I think, but I think that was more, I don't blame Ben Affleck. I blame really Warner Brothers and how they wanted to push out movies the way they have. They're getting a little bit better. I think they're finally realizing like, okay, we need to, make these things make sense and not try to cram everything in the first two movies. Except for the Flash, they're gonna cram a ton in it. Like you got Michael Keaton as Batman again. You have rumored to be several other people. Ben Affleck is supposedly in there. All this other stuff. Oh, okay. So good news. My mom says, "Love your hat, Chris." I'm watching you tonight because Big Brother was not on tonight. So
okay.
You'll get to go to sleep early, Mom, because you're going to be so bored to hear me talk about Batman. And you're just, but yeah, I think Christian Bale probably is the overall better Batman. I think Ben Affleck could have possibly been better, not better, but as good maybe had there been a good enough movie. Not that Justice League was bad or Batman vs Superman was bad, but everybody are talking about their mom being named Martha and that whole thing. It's like, really, that Batman didn't seem dark to me. He kind of did, but he kind of seemed like, well, I'm my days are dark, but I'm getting a little bit happier. I think like that's what he felt like to me. And you just jump into him being kind of older, and you don't really get to appreciate the character as much because you don't really know much about him. You see him as Bruce Wayne and going like, "Hey everyone, I'm Bruce Wayne." And then like that's it. You don't see much about him. Michael Keaton, you got to saw a lot of them as Bruce Wayne, and the same with Christian Bale. There was that whole part of the movie before he actually becomes Batman, like half the movie, and you get to really know him.
Well, and I think you're right. I think the fact that that he didn't get his own standalone movie, that he was really sharing it either with Superman or he was sharing it with all of the Justice League. And I think by the point that he really comes in to those movies, he's been fighting crime in Gotham City for 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they bring him in to show really just how desperately they needed a Justice League, because he couldn't do it by himself.
And I mean, I think it's going to pick up a little bit. Well, it's interesting to see, because I've heard a rumor that Michael Keaton is supposedly getting his own standalone Batman movie.
Really?
And, of course, we're having the Twilight Batman coming out. Bat sparkles are going to happen. I don't know. But, I mean, a vampire bat. Oh, vampire bat. That movie, I don't know. It looks decent. I like his look when he's in the suit. I think it's, cool and everything. But so we're going to have all these different Batman, and I don't know. I think just DC and the Warner Brothers, they don't really know how to put a universe together. I think they shouldn't have focused on trying to do that at first, because Marvel was already way into that. And then they're like, oh, well, what do we do? We got to do what Marvel's doing. Oh, let's make one movie with half the Justice League in it to introduce everyone. It's don't do like Spider-Man 3 did, please. And I think that's why, Batman vs. Superman was not as good as it could have been. It was too much like Spider-Man 3. Way too much going on. They could have easily been 2 movies. And then, because you add them meeting for the first time, them fighting, you throw in Wonder Woman, and you throw in Death of Superman. Or was that in Justice League? You throw
in Doomsday.
Yeah, and Doomsday is what it was. Yeah. And it's all that stuff together into one, and then spilling over into the Justice League movie. All that. It's why? You can't give people the time to focus, and then you have to, in order to really appreciate all that, you have to do a 4-hour movie, which we got. And you can actually buy it now. You can buy Zack Snyder's Justice League on DVD and Blu-ray. And so a lot of people probably will be doing that. I want to get a copy of it. I've seen it, but I still want to get a copy of it.
Yeah, I really wish that DC had followed the same similar model that the MCU did.
Yeah,
they really had their phases. They were really working on building a foundation of characters that once they kind of got brought into the Avenger movie, that it all made sense. But kind of one level of movies was really meant to kind of build upon the next. To me, that made so much sense. Instead of trying to cram all of that information into one movie, and then you just feel like you've been hit over the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, so much, and it's just too overwhelming. And imagine if the Avengers came out first, and then Iron Man, and then Captain America, and then, what? Why? Imagine if the first movie Thanos was there and killed half the people. What if Endgame was the first thing they did? And then you're like, wait, what? Because in that 2-hour period, you have to introduce everybody, plus show this crazy thing that's happening. And, I don't know. I think they're maybe getting back on track. It's too early to tell, really, but the Flash movie could really save it all. They could really explain it this is the multiverse, and this is the real Superman. If they do that, I think Henry Cavill is a really good Superman. I don't think he's terrible. And it's not his fault that those movies did. Because the first Superman movie I like. People, if you haven't seen it, spoilers, people hate that he kills General Zod. But I think it was pretty awesome. Because Superman doesn't kill, but at the same time, it's General Zod. And you could tell he really hated killing him. He was oh, good, I didn't want to do it. No, why? There's all crying.
I mean, the truth was that Zod wasn't going to stop. Zod was, had it in his mind that there was only going to be one outcome, right? Either he was going to win or he was going to be killed, but there was no quitting in him. So I really liked it. I thought that movie, Man of Steel, really gave the character that kind of time that he needs to grow. I thought it was really good. I wish that they would do the same for all the characters in Justice League. Give them that time for us to really care about them, And I feel like that's kind of that. I'm hoping that that's what we're going to get in the Flash movie when it comes up.
I really hope so, because there's so much they could do with that movie. I hope that they kind of bring some order to their whole universe and not make it too confusing. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We were talking like earlier and a few days ago about me catching up with What If, and then I started watching what I thought was the latest episode tonight, and then I realized, oh, there's one more. I'm like, so I felt so terrible, but we can at least talk about that episode. I watched the zombies episode.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like of all the episodes, if you had to get caught up on an episode, episode 5 of What If Zombies is a good one to get caught up on.
And it was such a good episode. So many funny moments too.
Right. I mean, dark but funny. And I think that if you're one of those people that really likes zombies and The Walking Dead, or Zombieland, like for me, I really loved that moment when Peter Parker comes in and starts explaining the rules of surviving a zombie apocalypse. Yeah. I really loved that. I thought that was great, and I thought it was perfect considering his youthful spunkiness, that he was the one to kind of go and do that.
It really does remind you, and they had to have done that on purpose as a nod to Zombieland, because the only thing missing was a Code Red Mountain Dew.
Right.
And if anybody out there hasn't seen Zombieland, you're like, what's Code Red? What's? Because Jesse Eisenberg, which I remembered his name this time, his character in Zombieland was obsessed with drinking Code Red Mountain Dew. A girl comes over to his apartment. It's like, here, let me give you some Code Red Mountain Dew. It was almost like a Code Red Mountain Dew commercial. Which it probably was. And then she went all zombie on him, and he was like, that's where he starts explaining the first rule and all that stuff. It was a really great movie. And then, yes, Corey's talking about, I was expecting it to be linked more to Scarlet Witch zombies from the comic books, which it could have been. It should have been. But then he commented in Bill Murray in reference to Zombieland, and if you haven't seen Zombieland 2, Bill Murray's in that one too. But yeah, I think I wasn't really too familiar with the zombie comics and stuff. So I noticed a lot of people comparing them and saying, oh, the comics were way better. They probably were. But still, the animation, sometimes I forget this is cartoon.
Yeah.
I think it's real sometimes. Just the way it almost is like they filmed the entire thing with live action and then went frame by frame and painted over it. Is what it feels like, because it's so smooth and the light effects, the shadows, the motion, like everything about it seems so real and so natural. That's my favorite cartoon as far as animation style.
It's crazy though how they've done. I mean, as far as like even capturing the voices of the actors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the great things, and I won't spoil it for you for the latest episode, is we keep getting Chadwick Boseman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we just recently celebrated a year that Chadwick Boseman has been gone, and yet here we keep getting his voice acting here in What If. And I feel like it's kind of a really awesome way to really pay homage to him and to remember and respect him is through this. So that I just love that part of it. I think what was amazing about the episode with zombies is this idea that here we have the Avengers, one of the mightiest heroes on Earth, and now they're all zombified, and maybe they might have been able to fight back. However, the minute they all turn, the world is doomed. Right? There's no way, because not only are they zombies, but they retain enough of themselves that they know how to use their powers. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I gotta say too, the voice actor for Spider-Man, we know it was not Tom Holland, but he did sound a lot like Tom Holland. And I only know that because I read up tons of articles about it, and there's still like a mystery as to why Tom Holland didn't do the voice. But I mean, it must have had something to do with the Sony Marvel contract and all this and that. But still, it was pretty cool that Spider-Man was there. They really should do one with Venom, I think. Which I know Venom's not in the MCU, but I mean, if they could just get him, like, because you would think Marvel could do an animated Venom, right? Because they own the character, they just don't own the live action film rights. But who knows? I really loved this episode with the zombies because there were so many, like I said, so many jokes. I don't remember hardly any of them now. But
you had talked about Paul Rudd's head. Right?
Yes, he was so funny, and it was Paul Rudd's voice too, which was great. Paul Rudd is just hilarious anyway. Of course, I know Paul Rudd. My first exposure to him, I guess, would be in a lot of the Judd Apatow comedies, like 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think it might have been the first time I saw Paul Rudd, which he's done way more than that, but it's the first time I saw him. And then
he was in the Father of the Bride, the last Father of the Bride movie. That was the one that I remember him being in.
He was I think he did some spots on some sitcoms too, like early mid 90s sitcoms. And just like, I don't know why I thought of this, has nothing to do with Paul Rudd or anything else, but I just thought of David Schwimmer being on Wonder Years. Because I knew him from Friends, and that's all I knew him from. And then I was watching the Wonder Years at one point, like binge watching old episodes, and he was on there. I'm like, I think it was that show. I'm pretty sure it was, because that was like what, 89, 90, or it ended in like 94 or 5 or something. Anyway, Paul Rudd is great. His head is so funny, and instantly I was like, is this a nod to Futurama? Because in Futurama, like all the celebrities that were around 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago, whatever, are in jars in his head. And I'm like, he's a head in a jar, and it's like rolling around, almost falls off the table or something. And just his comments of being a head, when he's like floating there with the Kate, is like helping him move around. And he looks at him, he's like, you can high five. I won't feel left out. Like little things like that were just hilarious.
Yeah, well, and I think that we needed to have some moments of levity in there, right? You know, if it was just zombies and people getting turned and, you know, getting torn apart, it would be too dark.
Right.
But like in a real horror movie or zombie movie, you know, they interject humor just to kind of lighten things up a little bit. So I was really thankful for it. But this show definitely went dark, right? They gave us just enough hope to think that there might be a cure, and they get all the way to New Jersey, which again, gosh, not only is it the end of the world, but then you have to go to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they find that Vision has been, you know, creating his own, what they think is a cure.
Mm-hmm.
And what they find instead is that he's been luring people back to that compound in order to feed them to Wanda.
Yeah, and that was, oh my gosh, like when that happened, I was like, holy crap. And I really love too when Hope is like, oh my gosh, you guys have to go without me. I will go giant and carry you across the thing. I was sitting there thinking, like, why didn't you just, like, when you got, like, when she started getting all the zombies climbing up her giant body, why didn't she go back to normal size and then grow again? And that would have, like, they all flew away and she could have survived probably. But then she's just like, whatever, and falls on them. But as soon as she did that, I'm like, you guys made a huge mistake, because then 10 minutes later, you're going to have this big zombie Hope running around. And then, like, I thought they forgot about it. And then, boom. And I was like, awesome. Yes, I knew it was going to happen. I love that. I don't know why, but I did. And then she grabs the shit. I'm like, oh, God, how are they going to get out of this one?
Right.
The thrusters. Right. Oh, my face. And then she's mad, picks up a zombie and throws it. And he's just like, and then falls off the back of it. And he just thuds and then falls. And that was hilarious. And that's the exact reason that I laugh at the Titanic movie whenever the guy, and my mom, if she's still watching, she can tell you I do this. Because I took her to see Titanic in 3D. Big, huge, like 100-foot screen, however big those things are. The boat is like tipped upside down. The dude falls over, hits his head, tonk, and then falls back in the water. I laugh hysterically. And she's like, what is wrong with you? I'm clapping, and everybody in the theater is looking at me. It's funny because just like, not tonight, but when it aired, when she throws that zombie, he made that clunking sound and then falls. Like, what was she trying to accomplish by throwing one of them? She should have thrown like 2 handfuls of them. But it was just funny to me.
It was a great episode. I think for me, the only part of the episode that kind of, yes, I believe it. I believe it. You've had this dark humor of yours for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ha ha ha, a ton of people died on a boat. Like, I don't think that's funny. I need to pull that back. Like, that isn't funny that it actually happened. But it's just the reason I want to clarify. The reason I think that was funny is because they did not have to record the thud sound. They could have just shown him falling and then had some sad music playing and then went on to the next thing. But they were like, no, let's sit there. What can we do? Today we're going to record the doof sound for that guy dying. Like, that just seems, I don't know. Moving on.
Kind of morbid. Kind of morbid. Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's a good question. Corey says, did her suit get thicker when it grows? Like bite proof? I mean, I don't know, because you notice like the zombies didn't bite her as they climbed up. They smashed her face, like her eye plate or whatever, in to get to her. Couldn't she have just been like, and then kept going? Because she had them all in her hands, so she could have just wiped her face off and like knocked them away. I don't know. I overanalyzed it too much, but I'm like, what if she did this instead? But it was still a great episode. I mean, I really want to watch the rest of them. Apparently I was 4 episodes behind, so now I'm back down to 3 episodes behind.
So which ones have you not seen yet?
I saw the first 3, and then that's the last I saw, and then I saw Zombies, which was episode 5. I think I saw the first 3. Because the first one was, Captain Carter, and then the second one was
Chadwick Boseman.
As Star-Lord. And the third one was, I'm trying to remember the third one.
The third one, that was when the Avengers get killed off.
That's right. Yeah. And then the fourth was Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
And then 5. So 4, episode 4. Maybe I'm not that far behind because it's just episode 4 and then the newest
episode
one.
6.
Yeah, so there's only 2.
And I really feel like, there really hasn't been a stinker in the bunch. There's been a lot of variety in what they show. Captain Carter and the episode where Chadwick Boseman, where he becomes, Star-Lord. I thought those were very optimistic. Those were very bright, shiny, hopeful episodes.
Yeah.
Right into episode 3 and 4, that's when we realized just how dark this show could be.
It can,
right?
Be.
So you're gonna really, I think that if there's one that's really gonna make an impact on you, it's gonna be 4.
Yeah, I think I will like that one. I've seen clips and little like images and I heard things, so I kind of know the basic point of it, but I still want to watch it.
Yeah.
Corey comes back with another point from a minute ago. I'm guessing talking about the Titanic thud sound. I thought we moved on from it, but I guess I had to bring it back up. A Foley artist, and then of course I instantly thought of Matt Foley, the motivational speaker from Saturday Night Live. I did have a van once, and I drove down the river, but I never lived in the van down by the river. So some of you are like, "What are you talking about?"
Selling government cheese.
Yes. At least I'm glad the two of us know what I'm talking about. Like, Lottie freaking da. I love Matt Foley. That's one of my favorite. That and then Tommy Callahan are probably my 2 favorite Chris Farley characters. And anytime he played any female character when they're all in the diner, like, yeah, yes, man. Okay, I'm not going to go into Chris Farley impression. But
yeah, save us from that, please.
Yes. But yeah, what else have we not talked about for a while?
Well, let's first talk about, of the ones you've seen of What If so far. That would be 1, 2, 3, and 5. Which one have you liked the best?
Honestly, it probably was a Zombies episode, just because it actually was the first one that I saw that literally was like, what if this happened? And it was completely different. The first 2 episodes were still good, but they were just the exact same story, but with a different character. It's almost like, what if Bruce Wayne became Spider-Man? It's like, I'm Spider-Man. You know, the same story, just a different guy.
Right.
And the third one was pretty good, but it was kind of predictable. You're like, okay, well, they're dead. Oh, it's that guy. I didn't know exactly who it was going to be, but I had an idea, and I was like, okay, it could be this person, this person, this person, and it ends up, So that was a pretty good episode, but it was just like, what if all the Avengers died? It's like, well, okay, well, what happens now? They're all dead. And then zombies happens, and it's like, what if they're all zombies? I'm like, okay, no, that's interesting, because at least when they're dead, they come back. And then Captain America being a zombie and then facing off against Bucky, it's in the train. I'm just like, holy crap, that's pretty cool.
He's like, I guess this is the end of the line.
After he throws a shield and cuts him in half.
Right.
That's America's animated zombie ass. But yeah, that was a really cool episode. I kind of wanted to see a zombie Spider-Man, to be honest. But of course, he had to be there to help save the day. And the only living Avengers, it was Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man's head, which was kind of funny. But that's like all that was left. But it made me wonder, like when they got back to Wakanda to actually put the Mind Stone in the USB drive in Wakanda or whatever they have to do to it, would that beam resurrect all the current zombies as regular people again? Because otherwise, what's the whole point?
I know. Well, and here's the problem is, like the very last scene of that episode has Thanos with the gauntlet, right?
The zombie Thanos.
Zombie Thanos with the gauntlet. And there definitely is not enough to fight him off.
No.
So, I for me, that was the only part in the whole story that I felt let down by, was they left us on that major cliffhanger. I wanted to know exactly how it ended, and instead they just gave us that freeze of Thanos with the gauntlet.
And honestly, I gotta say, like, the Thanos being with the gauntlet was kind of pointless, because there's only that of, 3 human beings really left. Maybe not in the world, but like, who's he gonna wipe out? Who's he gonna like snap into death or dust away? Half the zombies?
Well, you consider that the zombies are only on Earth. That snap eliminated half of the population of the entire universe.
That's a good point. I mean, we only see the effects of Earth in the movies, but that is a good point. Because, no, we saw more than Earth, because, we saw all the characters that weren't from Earth getting wiped away. So, yeah, that is a good point. He's also missing the last stone, too. So he's like, ugh. Or maybe he did have it, but it looked like it was empty, the last slot on the back of the hand.
But the fact is that Wakanda didn't have the resources to go and fight him with all of those stones. I think the insinuation was going to be that Wakanda would fall, that he would get the stone, and that the snap would happen anyway.
Right. Corey's, what if it's all cliffhangers?
Right.
I mean, it kind of seems that way, honestly. Like, some of these episodes, I'm like, man, why does this only have to be a one-off episode? I really want to see what happened. Like, I would love to see what happened with Zombie Thanos. And then they could have another episode about what if Zombie Thanos became good, like the original Thanos in the earlier episodes. Or what if Batman joined them, even though it's a different universe? Like, I'm Batman. And then Doctor Strange is all like, well, you're strange. Like, your name is Strange. Get it? I'm Batman. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
Now I'm telling jokes as bad as the DC joke book or the Marvel joke book, whatever it was. I thought we buried that thing.
I know. We should have, lit it on fire.
Yes. You should have had Vision use the stone to, beam a laser into it.
Good riddance. Good riddance.
And then Thanos snapped, and not half the books went away.
So we haven't talked about Stargirl yet.
Yeah, this last episode of Stargirl was the best episode they've had ever.
Yeah.
Eclipso, that's probably the most money they've spent on a CW episode. I mean, some Flash episodes and Legends episodes might have been a little bit more, but that, so many effects. Like, the Shade himself is awesome. the effects, the dark smoke, and all that. Like that's awesome. And then the staff itself, like all the special effects, and that fight scene was really cool. And I think Corey might have mentioned it on YouTube or maybe the Facebook last week, or last time we kind of talked, or maybe maybe it was in a Facebook group. I don't know. We've got so many people commenting and interacting with us now. I forget where they are.
Yeah.
But I think he mentioned something about how like the way the shots were edited to where like one character would be in this pose and then they cut to the other character in the same pose, or one would be running up a wall, cut to the other one running off the wall. Like I really liked that. I think it flowed together really well, and everything looked really good. It was tight and clean, and it just worked. I really liked that about it.
Yeah, I really felt like this was the moment we really had been waiting for, and season 2 had been, I think, slowly building.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They knew that this was like the big reveal of Eclipso. We were going to finally get a chance to see him in his final form, and at the same time, we would see the battle between the young new JSA and the ISA. We really hadn't seen them fighting as a team, and so I was kind of curious to see. Number one, we didn't know what they were capable of. It seemed like, particularly Artemis, seemed to be pretty jacked up physically.
Yeah, way stronger than we thought she was.
Right. I mean, we know that Our Man is particularly powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Superman almost.
Yeah, there aren't many people that can stand up to Our Man in a fist fight, and there was Artemis, who essentially her abilities are peak human physical strength, and she's shoving his head in the toilet and throwing him against the wall, and using various instruments to attack him. I think one of the things that Corey had mentioned, though, was the idea that all of them were under the influence of Eclipso.
I think so.
And under his, not only was he manipulating them emotionally and mentally, but he's also, enhancing them physically. So that kind of explains it. But that was I thought that all of the fights that were going on were really, really good.
Yeah, Eclipso does boost powers. I guess that's enough. And I mean, it really does explain it. But and like you pointed out with when you're giving Our Man a swirly in the toilet, I'm like, would he even be able to drown? Like, since he's Our Man, he's basically invincible for 1 hour. So could he even, would the water even matter? He'd be like, oh, this feels nice. It's cold. Or I don't know. But
we have not seen whether he can, whether he doesn't need to breathe while he's Our Man. Being invulnerable for an hour doesn't mean that you don't need oxygen.
That's true, I guess. I mean, because you're not physically getting damaged. You just
can't breathe.
Yeah. I'm thinking too much of Claire from Heroes, because I've been binge watching Heroes. I'm into season 2 at this point. And I think I started watching it last week because we had talked about it. And then, I got to watch it. It's making me neglect all the other shows.
Right. But I do feel like the fight scenes were great. Mm-hmm. I've always been a little bit, I always thought that the Fiddler was sort of a weak character.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a great job of making him, legitimate and dangerous and really somebody that you better watch out for.
Until they broke his violin thing.
Yeah. That really is the hitch. If your musical instrument breaks, then you don't have any weapons.
It's like, oh man, couldn't he just be like la 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 and sing or something, and then or just do finger drums?
Well, then he'd be the yodeler.
Well, that's true. This joke is like the joke you always hear when somebody's all upset about something, and they're like, "Let me play you a song on this world's smallest violin."
Right.
Your fiddle broke. Let me play you a sad song on the world's smallest violin.
Right.
I'm bad. I need to stop reading joke books and never think about jokes again. I'm not a comedian. I am no Norm Macdonald.
No, absolutely not. But I thought he did a great job. You think about how they go into Pat's mechanic shop, and they totally trash Stripes. that big giant robot. I mean,
yeah.
that was a pretty crazy moment. Generally speaking, they would generally do their fighting at the school.
Mhm.
This really was the first time where they took the fight very personally right to his business. Beat the crud out of Pat at the same time.
Almost killed him.
Yeah, almost killed him. And I think they did that on purpose, partly because, number one, destroying the robot would even the odds. Number two, Pat is their mentor. Without him there's really nobody to hold the team back, right? And they really wanted to, give them a reason to go and attack them, and they did. If kidnapping Mike wasn't enough of a reason, attacking Pat really was.
And I love how they played the audience as well the whole season, because you see her lining up the pictures of who she wants to recruit, and Mike's pictures there, and you're going for the last 3 or 4 weeks or however long it's been, like, oh my gosh, Mike, no, he's gonna go evil. How is he gonna do it? Do you think he'll get redeemed? Like, what do you think Mike's powers are gonna be? Oh my god! And then it's like when she made that comment, I was like, I don't need you. Like, I was like, oh, she's saying that to all of us. I thought that was a nice little trick that they put on the audience.
I do feel though like the truth is that if they're not careful, Mike could go dark. I mean, Mike is when he had the pen, we found out that the pen that turns into Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt only appears to people who are lonely.
Right? I never saw him.
Yeah.
Looking for him, like.
Well, and I think that was the point, is that he only goes to people who are lonely. Very fairy odd parents. That kind of idea.
Love that show.
Yeah. But he only appears to those who are lonely. I think we've all known that Mike sort of gets neglected, right? Not included in the team. His dad's so occupied with Courtney and with the JSA, and he kind of gets left on his own a lot. And
holding the wrench.
Yeah, just holding the wrench. I think that Lois and Clark do a better job of parenting.
Absolutely.
And then Pat and his wife do, and I like them.
Yeah, I love Amy Smart.
Yeah, I think the truth is that you can be a hero, you can be a great person, and you can still suck as a parent. And I think we certainly see that. Mike needs his dad.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting to realize just how desperate Mike is for his attention. In fact, in this episode, Mike basically turns to Pat and says, Pat tries to say, we'll make you something. We'll make you something. Don't worry about it. Mike's like, no, I want my own robot. And I thought, yes, finally Mike has the balls to tell his dad, I'm done with the paper route, right? You're not going to push me aside. I want to be a member of the JSA. Just like Courtney, give me a chance.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, and Pat really is a bad father, because he's had the experience with the JSA stuff and all the villains. He went through all of that for 20 years or something. He knows. And then all of a sudden now he has a kid and he's like, oh, what do I do? I don't know what to do. This is all new to me. Like, no, it's not. You should know how to handle all this by now. I mean, and then telling the whole family too, and that makes it even more complicated, I guess, right. Because it's like, now you, wife, you stay here, son. You go play with your Legos, and we'll get this. So it's got to be a little bit harder now that he has to protect his family when his family knows, and that's stressful. But still, he can do better, I think.
I get it. I mean, I think that in the end, I think that Pat really wants to protect his family. He knows what happened to the original JSA, right? He watched his friends die, and he has to try to balance this desire to keep their memory alive and to train this new team. And at the same time, he knows that if he's not careful, they could end up just like his friends did. So they wouldn't just want to rush and have his son, get involved in that. He really wants his son to have a normal life. But Mike seems bound and determined, to want to be a superhero too.
He is, and I'm really curious where this season goes and how it ends, because that episode, they still have this is like halfway through the season, I think. They still have a ton of episodes left, and that felt like a finale.
It did. Well, it was definitely a finale. It was a finale for the ISA. I mean, we saw him suck the soul out of Isaac.
Oh, it was so cool.
Right? So he's off the table in more ways than one. And then we know that Shiv, he had dropped some of the crystal that had contained him. And so she gets sucked into that inky darkness. We don't know if she's dead or if she's simply been transported somewhere else.
The Phantom Zone.
But right now, even Shade, who we thought would be the one person that might be able to step up and contain Eclipso, even he doesn't seem to have the ability to fight him. And so I think the point we have here is that the current membership of the JSA need more firepower, right?
Okay.
We've already met Jade, right? We already know that she has that Green Lantern ring. They're going to need her.
Yeah, where's she at? Where's she been?
Yeah, it would have been helpful to have her on hand.
Well, yeah.
And then they go as far as to introduce the Pink Pen and to introduce Jakeem as well as Thunderbolt, and then we haven't heard any more about it. But I think that those are both high power individuals that they're going to have if they're going to stop Eclipse.
And also, the reason we might not have seen them is because money. No, if you're looking at it from like the technical side, it's like, okay, it's expensive to do these effects. It's already expensive enough. And you have the Green Lantern in there, and then you have the Pen Genie again, the Fairly Odd Parents. Jim Gaffigan is great though. I love him. He's perfect for that character.
He's fantastic.
And also coming up soon, we have the episode with John Wesley Shipp as Jay Garrick, and I think it's supposed to be a flashback episode, so he's probably playing that Earth's Jay Garrick instead of our Jay Garrick from Earth, whatever number it is now. I think it's Earth 2 that he's from now in the new multiverse, which isn't, or is Stargirl Earth 3 now? I can't remember.
Earth 2.
Okay, so it could still be the same Jay.
No, it's not.
It's not the same Jay?
No, it's an entirely different Earth 2.
I mean, it could still be.
No.
We're going there again. Okay,
no,
it probably isn't.
The Earth 2 that we knew, that Earth 2 was completely destroyed, right? When Oliver Queen rebooted the universe, he recreated a new Earth 2, and that's where Stargirl is. But it's not the same Earth.
No, I mean, I don't know. I like the idea that he's there. Period. And I kind of got to the point now where I've accepted that it's going to be a different Jay because of the fact that it's a flashback episode.
Yeah.
And why would you do a flashback? Because Jay Garrick is dead. Which, fine. But that's awesome that he's there at all. And I really want to get him on here. He said he was willing before, and it was like appreciated the gesture of inviting him, but he didn't want to like do anything too soon because this was right before Flash ended. And then we were told by some people that, yeah, you're allowed to have him on from some people from Warner Brothers. And so we're like, ooh, but now the Stargirl's happening. So it's like, okay, it might be kind of touchy until that episode airs. But hopefully that comes up too.
Wouldn't it be great to have him on, though, to talk about that episode?
It would be. And Corey from Facebook now says drama in 3, 2, 1. It is the same Jay. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Professor Chaos. I'm Professor Chaos. That's my impression of Butters from South Park. Bad. Says Jake Eric was Earth 3. And I think the original like Earth 1 before I almost said before COVID, before Crisis, which same thing really.
Right.
Right. Before Crisis, I think it was Earth 3, but still, even if it was a different number, like the numbers of Earth, everything was recreated, and so it really was just a flashback. It's not going to be the same Jay because we've already seen this Jay that we know is like I think from Earth Prime now, because they were together at the same time. And then Barry and everybody's like, hey, Jay, how's it going? And everybody's like, oh, it's great. But how? Because they don't know the multiverse still exists. They think it's just one Earth. So, of course, it's a different Jay. So yeah, Corey, there's the drama for the evening. Anyway. But yeah, it would be great to get John Wesley Shipp on here. He seems like a genuinely great guy. And I feel like he would be the best. Not the best interview because I don't want to say one is better because it's almost like saying the rest of them suck, which isn't the case. But it would be really cool to see him on here.
It would be another great episode. I mean, I think that Jordan Elsass, that definitely was one of our top interviews. And you know what I love about John Wesley Shipp, he seems to be pretty active in social media, and
he responds like not just like. Hello, all. Just saying hi and then never responding. He responds to individual people. I mean, he can't respond to every single person, but he's responded to me a few times and to our show Twitter a couple of times. He liked a ton of our stuff. He really appreciates the love of the fans, and I would love to meet the guy either in person or on here. He could be the third square in the middle right over here, somewhere right there.
We'll happily make room for you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can speed in here real quick. But if you come on, you have to wear the 90 Flash costume the entire episode. No, I'm just kidding. He's like, I'm never going to do that show now. Or at least the helmet.
Maybe he could just hold it up for us,
Yeah. Yeah, hold it up. Cram it into a little ring that's spring-loaded so that when you come on, you can go and then like shoot it out and then find a way to jump into it and have it automatically zip up. But yeah, that's great. And then, gosh, what else? Titans. We haven't really talked much about Titans.
No.
I did get caught up on that. Watch, there's probably going to be another episode that just aired tonight or something.
No, you're good.
But they come on Thursdays. I know that. I've learned that. The last one I see is, of course, the last episode that happened, and Jason is finally like, okay, look, I'm sorry. But do we really know if he's sorry, or is it just like, haha, I tricked you? I think it's real. I think he's legitimately sorry, and he realizes, like, this isn't me. And so many people in the Titans group that we're in, I read the comments, and they're like, oh, this is so stupid. It's not the comics. Like, nothing you see on screen of any kind will ever be the comics. It'll never be the same exact storyline. It'll never be exactly what you want. I'm fine with the way they've done Red Hood. It's completely different, yes, but I like it. And
they really did a fantastic job of kind of showing us how he became Red Hood.
Yeah,
and I think they also did a really great job of making Scarecrow legitimately a bad guy. I mean, I think that sometimes we'd always really seen him sort of as a bit of a lackey, tied with another big name, villain. And yet, here he is. He's clever. He's playing chess, and they're all just struggling to keep up.
Yeah.
And almost kind of poetic justice that for a while here, Jason thought that he was the one who was in charge. He thought that he had Scarecrow on the leash, and Scarecrow let him know, hey, you're not the one calling the shots here.
Until like, well, at the end, it wasn't really. I was gonna say like Scarecrow, he got Jason knocked him out. The moment he finally like left home or whatever you want to call it, he punches him out, and then that's one of the funniest scenes I saw in the whole episode was when he wakes up and that janitor. No, that was the inspector or whatever shows up. He's like, I'm just inspecting. And he's like, oh, sorry, thank you. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, you know what? Here, have my yogurt cup. He's like, You're giving this to me? Thanks, dude. And it's just hilarious. And he kills him and picks up a yogurt cup. Like, well, like,
right. He's not going to eat it.
Yeah, he's like, ah. But it makes me wonder though if Jason is really like I want to come home. I want to come. I think he's being sincere. It almost kind of feels like what happened with Savitar on the Flash, and I'm not going to get into a time loop thing. But when Barry Tar or whatever you want to call the version of him without the suit goes into Star Labs with the real Barry and everybody, it's like we're going to be a family. It's going to work and can be great and wonderful. We'll all skip and play hopscotch. It'll be great. You can even use the chalk Barry, other Barry, and you can draw the thing. And he's like, okay, maybe this could work. And then he gets in there, he's like, no, and then speeds away and stays evil. I think that might be happening with Jason Todd. I think he's going to go back to Wayne Manor, and he's going to be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, about Hank and everything, but it's cool, right? No. And then they're all going to hate him. And then Dick's going to be like, hold on, everybody, chill out. And then they're just going to hate him. And they're not going to ever forgive him. And so I think that's going to create that extra wedge. He might not go off and kill a bunch of people like Savitar did, but I think he'll stay remorseful, but I think he'll branch off to be his own man. And that's what some people in the comments were saying, like, this doesn't look like someone who wants to be his own man. It looks like he's just a pawn for someone else. And now he wants to go back to his family. He needs to branch away. I think that's how you get there.
I don't think that he's going to get welcomed back that easily. No. I think there was the hope for Dick that he'd be able to bring him back in and that the team might accept him again. Mm-hmm. But killing Hank crossed the line. And it's not one that they're going to be willing to forget about anytime soon. And I think that true. I think that there needs to be some penance that he pays in order for him to get brought back. So I think that we're gonna see him as Red Hood, maybe working alongside a team that really doesn't want him to be there for a while to try to kind of prove himself that they can trust him. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. At least bringing him back as a full-fledged member. I am excited about. We know that in the next episode we get Raven back. Raven's supposed to return, and I also believe isn't Donna Troy supposed to come back too?
I think so, because that's what Raven was off doing. I think was resurrecting her. I guess.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just throw her in her Lazarus pit? It's like,
now, I don't know as if necessarily they knew about the Lazarus pit.
At that point, I don't think they did. I don't think they found out about it until. I don't think the Titans even know about it, or maybe they do at this point. But when first time we as an audience see it mentioned or even know it exists in this world is when they throw Jason Todd into it to bring him back, when Scarecrow does it.
Yeah.
And I still stand by the fact that Scarecrow knew Jason was going to be killed by the Joker. And everybody argued with me, no, he didn't. He had no way of knowing. And I'm like, I think he totally did. Because, like, why else would he put him in the pit? Because he wanted him to be desperate and have that part about him be, like, kind of different. Because we all know when you go to a Lazarus pit and come back to life, you're a little bit different than when you went in.
Or a lot of it different. Between the Lazarus pit and between the drugs, the anti-fear toxin, between both of those, Crane had the right recipe to manipulate Jason.
He really did.
And Jason was desperate. I think that was one of those things. Batman had cut him off. He had essentially been, so much of his identity had been in playing the character of Robin, and now he's, for the first time in a long time, realizing that that's no longer who he is, and he's trying to prove to Bruce that he's not afraid.
Yeah.
And so Crane certainly played him like a fiddle.
He really did.
I do wonder if Raven coming back is going to be a way to help restore Jason. We know that she can restore people who have died, or heal people who are damaged, even mentally. Maybe she might be able to do something. I'm sure that we'll see when she returns. But I'm excited about that. That's a huge return.
It makes me wonder if she could take all the little tiny pieces of Hank and put them together, kind of like this Batman that you could buy right now on no. But it makes me wonder if she can do that. Could she put Hank back together? Or I still don't know why they don't just scoop him up off the walls, with a spoon or whatever, and throw the big pile into the Lazarus pit. I mean, I think it would still work. And you have to have every piece though, because if you got like a hair from Crypto in that, then he would probably come back as like Hank, but like with a dog head, and it would be really weird.
Right. I'm sure that's why they didn't do it. That, and I think there wasn't a whole lot of Hank left over.
No, probably not.
I think that device totally incinerated him. There was just, ash Hank everywhere.
I mean, they could have just got a dirt devil kind of.
Right. The dust buster.
Yeah.
Throw the dust buster into the Lazarus pit.
Yeah, just throw the whole thing in there, and he comes back robotic with like powers and
So I don't know. I kind of also believe that the guy who played Hank is off doing other things.
Yeah.
So I think that generally is pretty final, at least for this season. But I'm sad about that because I liked him as a character.
Lego sponsorship would be great. I have
it
this.
It would be. It's not a bad idea to first talk about sponsorship. Mark Guggenheim is awesome.
Yes.
And his support has been great, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to branch out to other people that want to give us money.
Yeah, Lego.
Yeah. So maybe
I showed people your page tonight, and I showed them how to buy the Venom that's right now available on Lego's website for $59.99.
Right. Maybe that needs to be our next promotion for Twitter and social media is reaching out to Lego.
And then I could say we could say at Lego, let us build a relationship together.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
That's the best joke I've had today, and it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, leave the slogans to me, Stephen.
Yeah. I'll do the little graphics and things, and you could do the slogans. But that would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much else we haven't discussed.
No, okay. So I think it's interesting what's happening as far as with the Starfire Blackfire.
Oh yeah.
Connor triangle that's developing here. We know that Blackfire is supposed to be the villain.
The bad one, yeah.
But right now, she doesn't seem to be much of a villain, does she?
No, she seems to really be liking Connor a lot.
Yeah, extremely.
They liked each other so much they broke the bed.
Yeah.
Which in my head I'm arguing with myself. Like when I'm watching it happen on the episode, I'm like, how the bet? I'm not going to go into extreme detail about the scene because if you've seen it, but he didn't seem like he was putting in as much force himself. So would the bed still break? That's all I'm saying. But
well, they're both highly powered individuals.
That's true.
I'm sure that a normal typical bed is not properly reinforced to handle that kind of thrust. So yeah, this has probably been the most pornographic conversation we've had.
Yeah, and I mean, I tried to say that without any detail at all, but like you had to give a little bit to like talk about what you're saying. And,
right. I mean, and we have to remember this is HBO, and we still have not reached Game of Thrones level at this point.
But it did kind of throw me off when Jason went to that booth. I don't know what else you can call it, where he's got the window and the couple were there.
Right.
And they had a fully naked female character for like the first time. I think you had seen a little bit of nudity, but like that was full on like, look at me. And it's like, okay.
I think what that was, it was a literal window into Jason's mind.
Yeah.
Of how just broken and screwed up he is, that he has nobody to turn to.
And that was, he's so broken that he goes to a peep show to talk.
Right.
It's like, it was almost like, why don't you go to a confessional or something like that? Like get in a little confessional booth. But he's like, I'm not even worthy of that. Like I messed up so much. I got to ask these naked people for advice.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think that was really powerful. He's like, I just want to talk.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh my gosh, it got me to feel bad for him again.
You be Hank and you be Dove.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Hank.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry that I killed you.
It's cool, dude. Like, what else do you want us to do? Like, they didn't get it, and then when they find out, they freak out and they run away and everything. And then the moment the girl is all ashamed now, she's like covering up and everything. And just like that said a lot without saying anything.
It really did. It really did. That. I think that it was just one more level of Jason getting isolated. I think that was what we really see. Yeah. I wanted to finish up with the Blackfire thing though.
Yeah.
They've gone really far to make us think that Blackfire is not anything to worry about, right? That she might want to use Connor as a sex toy, or that she might use her cleverness to help them to track people down. And she might have a sad backstory, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember she was in that prison. She was in that prison for a reason. And I kind of feel like once Crane is out of the picture, I really think Blackfire is going to end up being the big bad here for the season. She's a lot more powerful than she wants anyone else to realize. There was that power underneath the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to notice that, right? So I think clearly she's far more dangerous. Far more dangerous.
I could definitely see something like that coming because, Connor already blamed himself for Hank because he's like, I didn't get there in time. And if he would have gotten there a literal 1 second earlier, he would have saved his life. But he didn't. And then his relationship with her now is going to build to another point of like, oh my gosh, I got Dawn killed or whatever. And he's like, it's all my fault. If I would have just made her get out of the bed the first time after she broke it, then this never would have happened.
I do wonder whether she's going to try to manipulate his love for her to get him to kind of side with her.
I think so. Or at least she'll try. I don't know if it'll work. Because he still has this innocence. Like he's almost like a child learning things for the first time.
Well, and that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
The problem is when you're used to being in relationships, then you're harder to manipulate.
Yeah.
But it's with it being his first, he's going to make a lot of those first mistakes. And unfortunately, it's with the wrong person.
It always is. Well, not always.
She's very experienced.
Yeah,
right?
and in many ways. And that was another funny line. He's just like, this is my first time, all awkwardly and stuff. And she was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Like, I think in that moment, she's like, okay, I got you. Watch this. And then that starts her mind games. Maybe.
I think that there was the other part of it that I think she was kind of impressed that he was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's. I mean, apparently the bed is broken, so
right.
We'll just say that we're getting very deep into this.
I know. I think there's one other story non-bed related that I think we need to talk about, and that is in regards to is it Tim Drake?
Yes. Yes. Tim Drake.
So we know that they've been kind of giving us little cameos of Tim Drake, but in this one, in this episode, we see Tim Drake and his detective prowess already in action, right? He's already figured out who Nightwing is. He already knows who Batman is.
And who Red Hood is, and who Robin is, and pretty much everybody almost. He's like a super stalker.
Yeah. And I believe in the comics, he's considered to be one of the best detectives other than Bruce Wayne himself. So I think they've done a great job of really showing his character. The fact that he gets shot at the end of the episode, I think that might end up being sort of the event that causes him to ultimately get closer to the team. Dick keeps going. I mean, literally as he's descending down into the sewers, trying to make him say, there's nothing, you're totally wrong. Let me go down to the sewers Dick does a really terrible job at hiding the fact that he's completely right.
Yeah. I mean, What are you talking about? Dude, I just watched you put the Nightwing costume on. It wasn't me. I have a video of it. That's not me. It's on YouTube. Like, that's edited. Like, you could literally, like, I have your fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
No, you fake those. Like, dude, enough. He gets it. He knows who you are. He wants to help. Like, let him help. He wants to be Robin. He knows that being Robin is not some fun, super great thing. It's stressful and dark and hard and difficult. And like, he knows this. He wants to do it. Like, this is the first person that's volunteered to go like, hey, let me be Robin. Everybody else just like got manipulated and used into it. You know, I guess you could say that because Bruce Wayne weaponized children. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And this guy is like already kind of older. He's, you know, I would think he's a little bit older than Jason. He seems to be. Seems a lot more mature than Jason was or is still. And I think he would be a great Robin. I mean, we know he's going to be Robin. It's not like, oh, I hope Dick lets him in to the club. Like, we know he's going to be Robin. I would love to see Dick as Batman for a little bit because, you know, he was Batman, I think, for a short time in some comics. So, like, why not put the bat, like, just go to the Target and buy one of these and put it on. No. Let go.
I think that Dick, his history with Bruce and with playing sidekick to Batman, it's pretty bitter.
Yeah,
he really has a lot of resentment for what happened to him, and we see these little flashbacks of him as a kid, you know, running through the sewers or being there at that cabin on that compound in the woods, and Bruce, you know, trying to teach him to control his fear. I think that's in many ways, it's his fear. It is his PTSD kind of working itself out. So I don't know as if Dick is going to rush out there and throw the Batman suit on. I think he's pretty happy, you know, playing Nightwing. However, I think Jason is kind of attached to this Red Hood thing. I think he's probably going to stay Red Hood here for a while.
He needs to.
And I think that Tim is different than either Dick or Jason, right? In this case, Tim wants to be a hero.
Yeah.
Tim, you know, I think Dick just wants to make sure that he's not manipulating this kid, right? He certainly, yeah. He knows the kind of life that he'd be signing himself up for. And sometimes people ask for things that they don't understand.
Exactly. And it makes me wonder, too, if Bruce Wayne ever comes back and becomes Batman, because in the comics, which, again, we started off by saying this is not the comics, and no show is going to be exactly like the comics, but we do know that Tim Drake was Robin with Batman. So will there be another Batman? And then there's a lot of people that are complaining that Titans is too Batman like oriented. There's too much Batman. And I can see that, but I don't think it's too much. I think you kind of have to do a lot of this one thing to get to these little things.
We're only halfway through. I think that what we're going to see here with the second half is we're going to see with Raven and Donna returning. I think we're going to see much more of the Titans. Even really the development of Beast Boy and his transformations. I think we're going to see more of that too.
And so Professor Chaos says again that Dick was Batman during the time Bruce Wayne was presumed dead after Final Crisis. I don't know if any of the universes or CW or anybody like that's going to do a Final Crisis. I mean, I think Crisis on Infinite Earths will be the last huge kind of storyline that they do like that. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with all the characters and stuff on time.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've reached that point in our episode.
Yeah. And normally I would put up a bunch of little Twitter handles, which I still will probably throw up Mark Guggenheim's. But where's it at? I forgot how to do this. This is new. Okay, so we want to say thank you for joining us today. Why did I read that directly off the thing like an idiot? I'm like, thank you for joining us today. But no, our Facebook, I just have like, I didn't include our personal Twitters, which I did not think of that. I was so focused on getting this put together. But Facebook.com/between a pod and a hard place. Our Twitter is at pod and hard place, and you can find us on YouTube between a pod and a hard place. I forgot. I don't have our Twitters memorized, so I will pull up those really quick. I thought I had it all in that one little graphic, but it turns out I did not. So I was
and while he's throwing that up there on the screen, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're on YouTube at all, make sure that you not only share this video, but make sure that you go and follow us on our YouTube channel.
Yes, because the YouTube is growing very, very slowly, but growing. Our friend Misty from Great Geeks Debates watching. Good stream, guys.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Misty.
Yeah, and she makes a good point. They're canceling shows left and right. So, I mean, Supergirl's going out. Black Lightning went out. Arrow's gone. Like, so many shows are gone. Like, makes you wonder. I know Titans is a little bit different because it's through HBO and not. We're just going to throw these whole things up here again. All the Twitter handles. But it's not the same as far as the same people, but you never know what's to come with shows because they are dropping off, it seems like. But they're making, as long as DC and the shows are able to do something to kind of fill in that gap, like with what Marvel's doing with What If, with Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and the new Hawkeye series coming up. Well, I'm going to hold back judgment on Hawkeye because I've kind of like treated him a little bad lately.
You've been really critical of Hawkeye.
Yeah, just because he's like the Kmart of the flea market version or whatever of Green Arrow, but he's got that show coming up, so I'll watch that. And if I think that show's great, then I'll say maybe he's kind of better than I thought. And then what was I doing?
Our Twitter.
Oh yeah, Twitter. Sorry, I was reading a comment because Misty says they might move to HBO with the DC Arrowverse. I think that'd be amazing if they said, you know what, bye CW, see you later, and they all went over to HBO Max. Imagine if, okay, this is going to be my bad word of the day, but imagine if The Flash comes out in season 8 and says, you know what, fuck Thawne. Boom. That's probably a little excessive. Anyway, oh wow, the comment was on there twice. So on Facebook, I'm just going to post the Facebook one because it went to Facebook and to YouTube. For those of you watching this on the group, I don't know if this comment will pop up. That's a good question because we can't comment directly to the Facebook group with the stream, but since it's broadcasting all three places, makes me wonder if they can see this. Anyway, Mark Guggenheim's Twitter is at mguggenheim. As we've said, at Pod and Hard Place. And then you can follow Chris on Twitter. He's got like 30,000 followers at this point, I think. But at CJ_Kirk1979. How come I cannot remember that? That's such an easy name compared to like 1772222-52.
A lot better than it was. It's a lot better than it was.
Of course, mine, which is at Stephen_Colton. So that's, I should have been more creative with my Twitter handle when I first made it. But I need to get that updated on the little list of our little graphic here. Which, how cool is that? How cool is that graphic? It's like, But next time I won't read it. I won't read it off like a teleprompter.
We'll just post it. And then we'll play the music. And that'll be over.
Yeah. I wish I could. I need to work out a way to take the little video that I have for the music because it still has the old logo. But I need to find a way to update that image. Because when I created that file with a song on it, I used a video creator online and then saved that. But I want to find this image with the music or the new logo that you guys can see in the top corner.
Yeah.
With the music. We're working on it. We're getting things done. But I love how I'm wearing this shirt and I say we're getting things done. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're sending mixed
messages on that shirt.
We're getting things. Looks like I'm trying to cover myself up. Like,
right.
Yeah, never mind. I'm not doing anything.
No.
Yeah. but we're trying to grow. And
I feel like this episode needs a parental advisory.
Yeah, warning. The following show features stunts performed. Never mind. That's the intro to Jackass. I have that memorized. I could just say that at the beginning. Like, throw this on here, like, warning. The following show features stunts performed by the professionals.
Some type of disclaimer.
Yeah, something like that. I don't want MTV to come after us, though. I think they might have that copyrighted. I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, that's been a fun show. And we've had a lot to talk about. And maybe next week we can talk about the other episodes of What If. What if I watch them?
That would
I should. I've been binging so much Heroes. It sounds so weird to say so much Heroes. I should be saying so many heroes, but the show, my brain shutting off.
You've been binging the show Heroes.
Oh no, you are a villain, Flagman. No, Yatta. Oh, okay, a sad Yatta. George Takei is great. Anyway, and isn't he Chinese? George Takei?
Japanese.
No, I heard though. I thought like George Takei was like Chinese, but or maybe
no, Japanese.
I know the character was, but I thought one of the people in that show was Chinese playing Japanese, and they had to learn the language or something like that. Maybe I'm thinking of something completely different.
Maybe, but George Takei is Japanese.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of the
right.
The guy that plays Hero.
The guy was literally in a Japanese internment camp.
I don't know why. I don't know why I said his name. It might either be the guy that plays Hero or the guy that plays Ando or one of the other characters in the show.
It could be.
I don't know. I'm not gonna try to figure it out because I don't know the answer. I'm gonna have to look that up now. It's gonna bother me all night.
There we go.
Okay. Well, it's been fun, and hopefully next week it'll also be fun. I'm glad we didn't have. I don't know why it wouldn't be fun. We had a good show. There was no glitches. I thought, with the 3 streams, it might kind of be a problem, but it wasn't. I'm not trying to jinx us.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Sorry, I'm reading comments again.
Oh, okay.
You can outsource your mixing needs to me. Chris is so handsome.
Well, thank you, Jared.
I mean, all these different comments. I'm not used to so many.
I know.
I'm used to Corey just throwing us fun little things and insulting you, but it's nice.
I mean, don't hold back now. I mean,
And then right before the show goes, like, oh, Chris is insert joke here.
Right.
But we won't wait for that.
He doesn't need any help, frankly. He doesn't need any help.
Oh gosh, I think I helped him once before, and then
right.
All right, I'm gonna stop reading comments because that'll never end. We'll just sit here all night reading comments. So
we can always go and respond to the comments though after the show.
We can, and I keep forgetting that. I'm like, we have to read them now. So right now, before we leave, I'm gonna break this apart, and you all can watch me build it one piece at a time. No, I don't think I could sit through that. I don't want to build that thing again, especially now that the pieces aren't in separate bags. They came in the box. They're like, bag 1 does this. Bag 2 does this. You break them all apart now, I'm going to be like, So no, not doing that. All right. Enough of Batman. Enough of Legos. Unless Lego wants to
sponsor us.
Yes. We can build something together. We'll build a podcast universe together.
I know.
And then we can have Lego figures of us with a little Lego microphone. And a little Lego.
We know that at least your mom will buy a set for you.
She'll buy one for me.
Right.
But not for herself. I'm like, I got like 60 of these from Lego. Why are you buying it for me? Because it was cute. But yeah. One day we'll get Lego sets of us.
Right.
That'd be great.
I know. What's tragic though would be that Steven, your Lego would have 2 Legos in it, and mine would have like 27 Legos to make me.
Oh, I would have. I don't know. Mine, they would probably get it wrong or something. They would have the Lego shirt I'm wearing would say California on it, and then yours would say North Carolina on it.
Right. That would be really jacked up.
But it'd be on purpose since I did that with the logos.
Right.
All right. It's been fun. We'll chat next week.
All right.
I'm excited to see how many views this thing gets and how
well
it goes.
Yeah.
30,000. And when we went live, we had 43 subscribers on YouTube. Now, if we don't have 1,000 subscribers when we click end, then I'm going to be very disappointed in myself for expecting that many. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been fun. Take care, and we will talk next week.
All right. Good night.
Have a good night.